Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV's Point Predictor, the series where I predict 5 FPL players that I believe are guaranteed to score 4 points or more in the upcoming Fantasy Premier League game week. However, to keep things interesting, I've got to include one defensive option, as well as one midfield and one forward option who are both valued below the price of 8 million. Also, I can only select one player per team. If you're enjoying the series, then please let me know by hitting the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly FPL videos. So before we start making predictions for Game Week 7, let's take a very quick look back at my predictions from last weekend's fixtures and see if any of my selections picked up 4 points or more for Game Week 6. Manchester United took their clean sheet tally to a very impressive 5 games out of 6 so far this season, following their 1-0 away win to Southampton. Antonio Valencia seemed the reliable choice for my defensive selection last week, and he didn't let me down. Having delivered points in his previous 3 game weeks, Matt Ritchie emerged as a rather consistent budget FPL option, especially with his set-piece duties. To be fair, it was always going to be a big ask for him to return points for a 4th consecutive game week, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to do so in his away fixture against Brighton. Arsenal's star man Alexis Sanchez has finally found his place back in the side, and he rewarded his low 2.4% ownership with an assist. 5 points is certainly not enough to justify his 11.9 million price tag, but a positive sign of things to come from the Chilean, who faces Brighton at home next. Despite Chris Wood's strong start to life as a Burnley player, his team in general are struggling in front of goal. Since they put 3 past Chelsea in Game Week 1, they've only managed to score another 3 in their last 5 outings. Ultimately, a blank from Chris Wood in the end, only mustering 1 measly shot on target against a pretty organised Huddersfield. Following a brilliant hat-trick in Game Week 5 and a mouth-watering 20 points, Aguero seemed a no-brainer for me, facing a struggling Crystal Palace in his next fixture. As expected, Man City eased to victory over their opponents, with Aguero racking up a goal, an assist and 2 bonus points in that 5-0 demolition. Like last week, a total of 3 out of 5 correct predictions for Game Week 6. Again, decent, but it's the budget options that I just can't seem to nail so far this season. So let's take a look now at my selections for Game Week 7 and see if I can improve on this score and get 4 out of 5. For this week, I've decided to stick by my defensive option from last week and select Antonio Valencia. You could opt for any of Man United's back 4 really, with a very favourable home fixture against Crystal Palace next. But Valencia has the edge for me, simply for his superior attacking stats when compared to those of Phil Jones, for example. As mentioned earlier, United have kept 5 clean sheets out of 6 so far this season, and I expect this to continue as they face a Palace side who are yet to score a goal in 6 games. They're also missing both Wilfried Zaha and Christian Benteke through injury, arguably their best options going forward. Now, Valencia isn't the only player I'm selecting for a second week running, with my any-priced midfielder Alexis Sanchez also getting the nod this week. Sadio Mane was certainly a consideration here on his return from suspension, but it's just too much of a lottery with Liverpool midfielders, and with Arsenal at home to Brighton, I expect the explosive Chilean to build on his 1 assist picked up in Game Week 6. Brighton have struggled away from home so far, and Arsenal have scored 9 goals in their opening 3 home fixtures this season. Positive signs for Alexis Sanchez. For my budget midfielder, under the value of 8 million, I've landed finally on Watford's Richarlison. The talented Brazilian youngster has impressed in his opening 6 game weeks, and has 2 goals and 1 assist to show for it. An away trip to West Brom is always a tough place to go, so I'm not overly delighted with this choice, but Watford have won all 3 games on the road so far, with Richarlison scoring in 2 of those. My initial choice for this category was Raheem Sterling, who's scoring for fun at the moment and has been a real bargain so far at 7.8 million. But having played in midweek, now facing Chelsea away, and with Guardiola's unpredictable rotation policy, I just ended up changing my mind and going for Richarlison instead. Once again, it feels like Groundhog Day for my budget striker, with this category always feeling difficult to come to a decision. As a fun £5 million punt, Oumar Niasse was extremely tempting after his heroics last weekend. But being out of favour under Ronald Koeman, and with a Europa League fixture on Thursday, I just can't be certain that he'll start the game. Bournemouth's Joshua King was another tempter, finally getting off the mark last weekend and playing a Leicester side with only one clean sheet so far. But in the end, I've ended up with Javier Hernandez. I scratched my head for hours on this decision, so I just had to make one in the end. I've always rated the Mexican striker, which is probably why I always seem to gravitate to him at 7 million. Notably, his opponent Swansea are yet to concede a goal on the road, so the numbers don't really add up here, but simply, my gut says that Chicharito is always in with a chance of scoring against anyone, especially with West Ham playing at home, where they've scored 4 within 2 games there. Finally, for my any-priced midfielder, Lukaku would have been my first pick here, as anyone facing Crystal Palace just seems an absolute banker at the moment. But having already chosen United coverage, I've opted for Tottenham's in-form man, Harry Kane. I do feel pretty confident about this choice heading into Game Week 7. After all, he's coming off the back of a brace against West Ham last weekend and a midweek hat-trick in the Champions League. He's also away from home, which Spurs don't seem to mind. My only concern is Huddersfield's defensive record, and even though they've dipped in form of late, defensively they still remain quite impressive, with only 3 goals conceded all season and just the 1 conceded at home. Even so, it's difficult to ignore Kane's form at the moment, so hopefully he won't let us down this week. And that wraps up my point predictor for Game Week 7. Honestly, I'm not feeling too confident of a good round of selections here, and it could have looked very different, but hopefully they can do me proud and avoid making me look too stupid. As always, if you enjoyed the video and the series, then be sure to support FPL TV simply by hitting subscribe and maybe leaving a like. Feel free to join in with your own 5 selections in the comments below. Good luck to you all for Game Week 7, and most importantly, FPL responsibly.